Hey everyone, continuing for reciprocal graphs, we'll be looking at the 1 over x squared graph. Alright, is well, the same logic as our 1 over x graph. We know that again x cannot be 0, right, because it cannot divide by 0. So again we'll split it to x bigger than 0 and x less than 0. So let's take a look at what happens when x is greater than 0. So you notice that, well, if x is very small, so let's say 0.01, you get a very large value, right? You'll get 10,000, all right? And as you get smaller and smaller towards 0, it'll be a super big number. As such, your number will start off somewhere around here, right? You'll get to infinity and will be incredibly close to 0 for x and infinity for y, all right? And that's why for the H2 math students, there's this vertical asymptote, which is at x equals to 0 again, all right, because x cannot be 0. Then as x gets larger towards positive infinity, it's a very big number, right? Because when you square a big number, it gets a even larger number. Then when you take 1 divided by this very large number, it's very small, all right? So on one hand, if you 1 over very small number, you get a very big number. Then if a very large number, let's say 9999, it's very close to 0. This one is very close to infinity. All right, so you can understand that, well, it will get close to 0, but you'll never ever be 0 because 1 over x squared cannot be 0. As such, we have a horizontal asymptote for the, again, H2 math student, the y equals to 0 graph, y equals 0 line. As such, we're just going to draw the graph. Again, it's decreasing, right, from infinity to 0. And it's now decreasing at a decreasing rate, because if you think about it, if x equals to 1, you have 1 over 1 square, which is 1 over 1. Then you have 1 over 2 square, which is 1/4. And then 1 over 3 square, which is 1 over 9. Right? So from here to here is minus 3/4. And then from here to here is minus 5 over 36. And you notice the change, right? The decrease is decreasing as well. So we're going to get this shape. All right, get very close to infinity at first, and then it gets very close to 0. Now we consider the x less than 0 values, right? So we had x bigger than 0, so now we have x less than 0. Now because at x less than 0, you have x squared, right? And any negative number, when you square it, you'll get a positive number again. So in fact, it's the same shape as the graph for the positive x, just that it's now reflecting about the y-axis. Same idea, if you have, let's say, minus 0.01, the whole thing is squared, you get the same value. You get positive infinity now, because x squared is positive. You get positive infinity. Same thing for 1 over minus 999 squared. You get a positive denominator, hence your value will be positive, and this will be 0. So it's similar, because it's x squared, so you're gonna get this shape as well for the negative x region. So this would be your general sketch of a 1 over x squared graph. And this is the last reciprocal graph that you need to know how to sketch. For A math and E math, actually doing a sketch. Actually, well, one I need to recognize. Whereas for the H1, H2 math, well, you have a GC, but you know, sometimes it's easier to remember the shape as this way. All right, so this is your reciprocal 1 over x squared graph.